Captain Zara stared at the screen in her command chair, her three eyes blinking in sequence. Something was wrong with the data. It had to be wrong. Run the scan again, she told her science officer. Kaimin's fingers moved across the control panel, his green skin glowing slightly in the dim light of the bridge. The Times Eternal Wanderer Times had been mapping this section of the outer galaxy rim for 6 months. They had found nothing but empty space and dead rocks. This should have been another dead rock. Same results, Captain, Kaimin said. His voice carried confusion. The planet has life. Intelligent life. Zara stood up from her chair and walked to the main display. The planet hung there in the hologram, blue and white and green. Beautiful. Impossible. That cannot be right, Zara said. This region has never been surveyed. No one comes out here. How could we miss an entire civilization? We did not miss them, Captain, Kaimin replied. He pulled up more data streams. They are very young. Based on their technology, they achieved spaceflight less than 100 years ago. They have only just reached their own moon. Zara felt her chest tighten. A new species. In her 30 years of survey work, she had never found a new species. No one had found one. In over 2,000 years, every intelligent species in the galaxy had been catalogued, contacted, and brought into the Galactic Council. Until now. Show me their technology level, Zara ordered. The screen changed. Kaimin's analysis appeared in glowing text and images. Zara read it once, then twice, then a third time. This makes no sense, she whispered. The planet's inhabitants, who apparently called themselves humans and their world Earth, had nuclear weapons. Enough nuclear weapons to destroy their own planet several times over. They had satellites orbiting their world, a space station, and probes sent to nearby planets. They had global communication networks that connected their entire population, but they also had war, active wars, poverty, disease, starvation in some regions, while others had excess. They had no unified planetary government. Instead, they had nearly 200 separate nations, each with its own leaders and laws. How are they not extinct? Zara asked. Every species in the Council achieved unity before developing nuclear technology. It is the only way to survive. These humans have had these weapons for almost a century, and they still have not unified? Kaimin shook his head slowly. There is more, Captain. Their planet is dying. The readings show massive climate disruption caused by their own industrial activity. Rising temperatures, changing weather patterns, species extinctions. Yet they continue the activities that cause it. But they know? Zara asked. They know they are destroying their own world? Yes, Captain. Their information networks show extensive scientific data about the problem. They know. Some of their nations are trying to stop it. Others are not. They argue about it constantly. Zara sat back down. Her training had covered many scenarios for first contact. None of them covered this. A species that knew it was killing itself, but could not agree to stop. A species with weapons to destroy their world, but somehow had not used them. A species reaching for the stars while fighting among themselves. We must report this to the Council immediately, Zara said. Kaimin nodded. I have prepared the data packet. Should I send it through standard channels? IB. Zara thought for a moment. A discovery like this would shake the entire galaxy. Every assumption about how civilizations developed would need to be reconsidered. The Council would want to study this carefully. Yes, send it. Mark it as Priority Alpha. New species discovered. Kaimin sent the transmission. It would take several hours to reach Council headquarters, even at faster than light speeds. Zara ordered her crew to maintain distance from Earth and observe passively. She wanted more data before the Council responded. Over the next few hours, her team gathered information. They intercepted human broadcasts and ran them through translation matrices. They watched human entertainment, news, and communication. What they found only deepened the mystery. Humans seemed to contradict themselves constantly. They created beautiful art and terrible weapons. They helped each other and hurt each other. They built hospitals and bombs. They sent aid to their enemies during natural disasters, then went back to fighting them afterward. They had organizations dedicated to peace that had existed for over a century. Yet wars still happened. "Captain," Kaimin said suddenly, "we have a response from the Council." Ground. That was fast. Too fast. The Council usually took days to respond to new discoveries. Zara opened the communication channel. Sara, 170T. The image of High Counselor Theron appeared. His ancient face looked excited, an expression Zara had never seen on him before. "Captain Zara," Theron said, "your discovery is confirmed. We have reviewed your data. This is unprecedented. The Council has made a decision." Zara waited. Protocol demanded silence until the High Counselor finished speaking. "We are invoking the observation protocol," Theron continued. "Earth and its humans will be studied by the entire galaxy. Every member species of the Council will have access to your observation data. This will be broadcast live to all civilized worlds." Zara felt her stomach drop. The observation protocol had not been used in over 5,000 years. It meant that billions of beings across thousands of worlds would be watching everything her ship recorded. "High Counselor, the humans do not know we are here," Zara said carefully. "If we broadcast their existence across the galaxy before first contact, we violate several protocols. The Council is aware," Theron replied. "But this discovery is too important. We must understand how these humans have survived. Every species achieved unity before reaching space. These humans did not. They should be extinct. Yet they thrive. They grow. They reach outward despite their conflicts. We must learn how." The communication ended. Zara looked at Kaimin. Her science officer looked as worried as she felt. "Broadcast our sensor data on all Council channels," Zara ordered. "The galaxy is watching now." Kaimin activated the transmission. Somewhere, billions of beings were tuning in to watch Earth for the first time. They would see the chaos, the contradiction, the impossible survival of a species that broke every rule. Zara looked at the blue planet on her screen. Somewhere down there, humans went about their lives with no idea that the entire galaxy had just discovered them. No idea that they were about to become the most studied, most debated, most astonishing species anyone had encountered. "What are you?" Zara whispered to the planet. "How are you alive?" The planet had no answer. But Zara knew she would find one. She had to. Because if humans could survive their own contradictions, they might teach the galaxy something it desperately needed to learn. The broadcast began at the start of the galactic day cycle. Across thousands of worlds, billions of beings stopped their work to watch. In homes, offices, learning centers, and public squares, screens showed the same image: a small blue planet called Earth, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. On the planet Mirios, Elder Scholar Ven watched from his teaching hall. His students gathered around, their young faces curious. Ven had lived for 300 years and had never expected to see this: a new species. He thought he had seen everything the universe had to offer. On the war world of Kreth, General Dax watched from his command center. His people had unified through conquest 2,000 years ago. Every Krethian knew that strength and unity were the same thing. He wanted to see what these humans had that let them survive without either. On the peaceful planet of Serenity the Seventh, the entire population watched together in their meditation gardens. They had evolved beyond violence 5,000 years ago. They could not imagine how a species with weapons could avoid destroying itself. Captain Zara stood on the bridge of the Time's Eternal Wanderer *, knowing that everything her ship recorded was being broadcast to all these worlds and more. The responsibility felt heavy. She looked at Kaimin. "Show them what we have learned," Zara said. Kaimin began presenting the data. He showed Earth's technology, its weapons, its fractured nations. He showed the wars, the poverty, The environmental damage. Across the galaxy, beings watched and shook their heads. This was what everyone expected. A young, violent species barely holding itself together. Then Kaimin showed something else. This was recorded 6 days ago, Kaimin said. His voice transmitted to billions of listeners. A major earthquake struck a human nation called Japan. Over 10,000 humans died. Watch what happened next. The screen showed rescue workers from dozens of nations arriving. Countries that had been enemies in recent wars sent help. Resources poured in. From around the planet, humans dug through rubble with their bare hands to save strangers. They gave blood, food, money, and time. Now watch this. Kaimin continued. He showed another recording. This is from a region where 2 human nations have been at war for 70 years. A flood struck both sides. Humans from each side crossed enemy lines to rescue civilians from the other side. Then, they went back to fighting. Across the galaxy, viewers felt confusion. How could a species help its enemies? Why would they save each other, just to fight again later? Elder Scholar Ven leaned forward in his seat. Impossible, he whispered. Compassion and aggression cannot exist together at this level. One must dominate. General Dax watched the rescue workers and felt something strange. Respect. These humans fought their enemies but valued life even during war. On Kreth, they had eliminated that weakness. Enemies were simply destroyed. But these humans had kept both the warrior and the healer inside them. On Serenity the 7th, the meditation leader spoke. They feel too much. Their emotions control them. This is why they suffer. But one young member of Serenity the 7th disagreed silently. She watched a human parent pull a child from earthquake rubble and thought the emotion looked like strength, not weakness. Kaimin continued the presentation. He showed human history, running at accelerated speed, wars that killed millions, followed by periods of peace and growth, empires that rose and fell, civilizations that collapsed and rebuilt, diseases that nearly destroyed them, overcome by their science, environmental disasters they caused, then worked to fix. They should have gone extinct 47 times by our calculations, Kaimin said. Here are the events that should have ended them. The list appeared. Nuclear standoffs where weapons were ready to launch but never did. Plagues that killed portions of their population but not all. Climate changes they survived through adaptation. Asteroid strikes they endured. Ice ages. Volcanic eruptions. Mass extinctions that killed most life on their planet. But somehow, humans and their ancestors survived. How? Someone asked in the council chamber. The question echoed across the galaxy. How? Zara stepped forward. We have been studying their behavior patterns. We believe we have found something important. Kaimin. Show them the pattern analysis. The screen split into hundreds of smaller images. Each showed humans in different situations. Humans helping each other. Humans fighting each other. Humans creating art. Humans making weapons. Humans exploring. Humans destroying. Humans loving. Humans hating. Every other species in the council achieved space travel through one path, Zara explained. Either complete unity like the Serene ones, or complete conquest like the Crethians, or hive connection like the Zentari. Humans have achieved none of these. They remain divided. They remain individual. Each human chooses their own path. That is madness, Elder Scholar Ven said in his teaching hall. Individualism at that scale should create chaos. They should destroy each other. They do create chaos, Zara said, as if she could hear him. But watch what happens with that chaos. Kaimin showed more footage. A human scientist in one nation made a discovery. Within days, scientists in other nations, even enemy nations, confirmed and built upon it. A new technology appeared in one place. Within months, humans everywhere adapted it, improved it, and spread it further. They compete viciously, Zara explained. This competition drives rapid innovation, but they also cooperate globally on science, medicine, and exploration. They share information even while fighting wars. It seems contradictory, but it works. General Dax stood up in his command center. He finally understood. Humans were warriors who had learned they did not need to destroy everything to win. They were competitors who knew cooperation made everyone stronger. They held both truths at once. Kaimin brought up another recording. This is their approach to their dying planet. Some nations are trying to fix the damage. Others resist change. They argue constantly. But watch the trend over time. A graph appeared, showing Earth's environmental data over decades. The damage slowed. In some areas, it reversed, not because humans agreed on a solution, but because enough of them chose to act despite disagreement. They do not wait for unity, Zara said quietly. Those who see the problem fix it. Others follow when they are ready. Some never follow. But enough do to make progress. Across the galaxy, the mood shifted. This was not a doomed species stumbling toward extinction. This was something else. Something that challenged everything the Council knew about civilization. Elder Scholar Venn sat back in his chair. He would need to rewrite his textbooks. Everything he had taught about necessary conditions for intelligent species to reach space was wrong. Humans proved it. On Serenity the Seventh, the young member who had disagreed with her leader spoke up. Perhaps emotion is not weakness. Perhaps they survived because they feel so much, not despite it. Her leader did not answer. But he did not silence her either. General Dax turned to his officers. I want full analysis of human tactical adaptations. They fight differently than anyone we have encountered. We need to understand it. Finger Sev. X. End. 1-1. End. 1-1. 1-1. In the council chamber, High Counselor Theron watched the broadcast with the other leaders. He saw the debate beginning among them. Some wanted to help humanity. Others wanted to quarantine them. Some saw opportunity. Others saw threat. But they all saw one thing clearly. Humanity was unlike anything the galaxy had encountered before. And they had survived things that should have killed them 100 times over. Zara looked at the blue planet on her screen. The galaxy was watching, judging, debating. But Earth spun on, unaware. Down there, humans continued their contradictory existence, fighting and helping, destroying and creating, dying and being born, surviving. Captain, Kaiman said. The Council is requesting we proceed to Phase 2 of observation. They want to see how humans respond to stimulus. Kaiman said. We have one to side weak speak. Amen said. Amen said. We have weeks, Amen said. Kaiman said. Zara nodded slowly. The real test was about to begin. The Council's orders arrived encrypted and marked urgent. Zara read them twice before believing what they said. They wanted to test humanity, to see how humans would respond to knowing they were not alone in the universe. They want us to reveal ourselves? Kaiman asked, his voice tight with worry. But we have not prepared them. We have not established communication protocols. This violates first contact procedures. Not full contact, Zara explained. We are to make our presence known visibly, but not threateningly. Lights in their sky. Something they cannot miss, but cannot identify. The Council wants to observe their response. Kaimin's skin shifted to a darker green, a sign of stress in his species. Captain, we are treating them like laboratory subjects. This is not respectful, Zara agreed, but she had her orders. The Council wants to understand human decision-making under stress. They need to know if humanity will unite in the face of the unknown or fracture further. Deploy observation satellites in visible orbit. Configure them to reflect their sun's light. Make them Obvious. 2. Across the galaxy, billions watched as the Time's Eternal Wanderer Times released dozens of satellites. The small devices took up positions around Earth, their reflective surfaces catching sunlight. From the ground, they would look like new stars that moved in formation. Within hours, humans noticed. The first sightings came from amateur astronomers. Then professional observatories confirmed it. Something was in Earth's orbit. Something that had not been there before. Something that moved with clear intelligence and purpose. Zara watched human communications networks explode with activity. News spread across their planet in minutes. Everyone was talking about the lights. Everyone had an opinion. "Show me their governmental responses," Zara ordered. Kaiman brought up feeds from multiple human nations. What Zara saw surprised her. There was no unified response. Each nation reacted differently. Some nations mobilized their militaries. Fighter jets took to the skies. Weapons were aimed upward. Defense systems went to high alert. These nations saw a potential threat and prepared to defend themselves. Other nations called emergency scientific conferences. Their best minds gathered to study the phenomenon. They pointed every telescope and sensor at the satellites. These nations saw a mystery to be solved. Some nations did nothing official at all. Their governments issued calming statements and told their people to remain peaceful. They took a wait-and-see approach, and the humans themselves? Their responses varied even more wildly. Scientists excited about possible contact flooded communication networks with theories and mathematical messages aimed at space. Religious leaders debated whether these were angels, demons, or simply other created beings. Conspiracy theorists declared they had been right all along. Artists created images and music inspired by the event. Children asked if the visitors were friendly, and millions of humans made jokes. "They are laughing?" General Dax said from his command center on Kreth. He watched human social media with confusion. They face the unknown? And they make humor? On Serenity the 7th, the meditation leader was equally baffled. They should be in chaos. Their emotions should overwhelm them. But they are processing this through humor and creativity? Elder Scholar Venn watched with growing fascination. Every model his people had for first contact scenarios assumed the discovered species would respond uniformly, either with fear, or hope, or curiosity. Humans were showing all of these at once, plus responses he had never considered. One human video went viral, as the humans said. A young girl, perhaps 8 years old, stood in her yard and waved at the sky. She said in her language, "Welcome to Earth. We have pizza and dogs and music. I hope you like it here. I'm welcome. And dogs of Ursa's." The video was viewed by hundreds of millions of humans within a day. Many humans copied her gesture, waving at the sky and offering welcome, but other humans prepared for war. Defense systems remained on alert. Military forces stayed mobilized. "This is the human paradox again," Kaiman said. He had begun calling it that in his reports. They prepare for war and peace simultaneously. They fear and hope. At the same time, each human chooses individually how to respond. Zara watched it all with growing respect. She had expected panic or unified action. Instead, she saw something more complex. Humans were processing the greatest revelation in their history, and they were doing it in millions of different ways at once. "Captain," Kaiman interrupted her thoughts, "several human nations have launched probes toward our satellites. They want to investigate." Zara checked the data. Simple rockets with cameras and sensors. Nothing that could harm her satellites. The humans wanted a closer look. "Let them approach," Zara said. "Do not interfere." The galaxy watched as human probes reached the alien satellites. The satellites did nothing, simply maintained their positions. Human scientists studied them intensely, gathering every piece of data possible. Then something unexpected happened. Three human nations that had been enemies for decades announced a joint mission. They would combine their resources to send a manned spacecraft toward the satellites. Former enemies working together, triggered by the common mystery in their sky. Impossible, General Dax whispered. They unite with their enemies because of us? But it was happening. The broadcast showed human scientists from nations that had recently fought wars, collaborating on calculations. Engineers from different sides of old conflicts, working together on spacecraft design. Politicians who had condemned each other now sat at the same table, planning humanity's response to the unknown. They are not unified, Elder Scholar Venn observed. Look closely. They still argue. They still disagree on methods, but they are cooperating, despite the disagreement. He was right. The human collaborative mission was filled with arguments and different approaches, but they were moving forward together anyway. They had not achieved unity. They had achieved something else. Cooperation without conformity. Zara watched as more human responses came in. Artists performed concerts aimed at the sky. Scientists broadcast mathematical messages. Children sent drawings. Religious leaders prayed. Military forces remained alert. Conspiracy theorists shouted warnings. All of it happening at once. All of it somehow working together to create a response that was chaotic and beautiful and entirely human. Captain, we have a situation, Kai Min said urgently. One of the Council observer ships has gone off protocol. Zara's attention snapped to the tactical display. A ship from the militant Krethian delegation had deployed a resource extraction probe toward Earth. It was heading for the human moon. They are testing human defenses, Zara realized. Without authorization, the Krethian probe was small but obvious. Any human looking at their moon with a decent telescope would see it land and begin mining operations. It was a violation of observation protocols and a potential act of aggression. Should we intercept it? Kaiman asked. Zara hesitated. If she stopped the probe, she would reveal division among the observers. But if she let it proceed, humans might see it as a hostile act. Before she could decide, human detection systems spotted the probe. Zara watched as human military forces tracked the object. Weapons systems locked on. The probe was heading for their moon. Mining equipment obvious in its design. To humans, this looked like theft, an invasion. A claim on something they considered theirs. Across the galaxy, billions held their breath. Would humans fire? Would they see this as an act of war? Their weapons were primitive compared to galactic technology, but they could destroy the probe easily. The probe landed on the moon's surface. Its mining equipment activated. It began extracting resources. Human military systems remained locked on target. Fingers hovered over firing commands. Nations debated responses. Some demanded immediate destruction of the probe. Others urged caution. Then a third option emerged from the chaos of human discussion. A coalition of human nations quickly organized a mission, not to destroy the probe, but to capture it intact. They would study it, learn from it, and understand it. But they would not allow the theft to continue. Within 36 hours, human spacecraft launched. Multiple nations contributed to the mission. The ships were crude by galactic standards, but they were fast and determined. Zara watched with amazement as human spacecraft reached their moon and surrounded the probe. Using tools and techniques obviously improvised in desperate haste, they captured the device without destroying it. They shut down its mining operations and began transporting it back to Earth for study. They did not destroy it, General Dax said in wonder. They had every right to destroy it as an invasion, but they chose to capture and understand instead. On Serenity the 7th, the young member who had spoken before spoke again. They are not peaceful by nature, but they choose peace when possible. That is different than what we achieved. We had to evolve beyond violence. They can be violent but choose otherwise. The human coalition transported the probe to a neutral research facility. Then they did something that shocked the watching galaxy. They announced they would study it openly, sharing all findings globally. Even nations not part of the capture mission would receive the data. And then they sent a message. It was mathematical at first. Basic concepts any technological species would understand. Then, it became more complex. The message was simple in its meaning. We detected your probe. We have it now. We wish to learn, not fight. We await your response. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humans made first contact not with fear or aggression, but with an outstretched hand and a boundary clearly drawn. You cannot take from us, the message said, but we will talk with you. In her command chair, Zara felt something shift. The test was supposed to reveal human weaknesses. Instead, it had revealed something else entirely, strength tempered with wisdom. Power held in check by choice. Unity achieved not through conformity, but through collaboration, despite difference. Zara opened a channel to Council headquarters. High Counselor Theron, I am recommending we proceed to official first contact. These humans have passed your test. They have more than passed it. The council chamber fell into rare silence after Zara's recommendation. Thousands of representatives from hundreds of worlds considered what they had witnessed. The debate that followed would determine humanity's future. High Counselor Theron spoke first. We have observed this species called humanity for 9 days. We have tested them. We have seen their response to the unknown. Now we must choose. Do we welcome them, quarantine them, or attempt to control them? Elder Representative Venn stood, his ancient frame still strong. I have studied species development for 3 centuries. Humanity violates every principle I thought was absolute. They achieved space travel without unity. They survived nuclear weapons without peace. They face extinction-level environmental collapse while still debating solutions. By all logic, they should be dead. Yet they thrive. They thrive in chaos. Interrupted Councillor Dax of Kreth. His massive form dominated his section of the chamber. But I do not see weakness in this. I see adaptation. My people unified through conquest because we needed strength. These humans found strength without conquest. They are warriors who choose when to fight. This shows greater discipline than my own people achieved. A representative from Serenity the Seventh rose, her form glowing with agitation. They are too emotional, too violent. They will bring chaos to the council. We should quarantine them until they evolve beyond their primitive aggression. But they already evolved beyond it. Councillor Dax countered. They have the capacity for violence, but increasingly choose otherwise. Is that not better than never having the capacity at all? They hold both war and peace inside them and select which to use. We selected by evolution. They select by choice. The debate continued for hours. Representatives argued across the spectrum. Some saw humanity as a threat to galactic stability. Others saw them as fascinating subjects for study. A few saw them as potential allies. Then, Representative Jin A of the Harmony Collective spoke. She was known for her wisdom and rarely spoke in council debates. When she did, others listened. We are asking the wrong question, Jin A said quietly. The chamber fell silent. We debate whether to accept humanity into our council. But consider what we have witnessed. When we tested them, they did not respond as we expected. They did not unify under threat. They did not panic into chaos. Instead, each human chose their response. And somehow those millions of individual choices created a collective action that was both strong and measured. She gestured to the displays showing Earth. We achieved peace through evolution or revolution. We became unified through biology or force. But humans are achieving something we never did. They are learning to cooperate while remaining diverse. They are finding peace while retaining the capacity for war. They are solving planetary-scale problems without agreeing on the solutions. That is inefficient, someone objected. Is it? Janae asked. We have been observing them for 9 days. In that time, they have advanced their space technology by what our experts calculate as 5 years of normal development. The presence of the unknown accelerated their innovation. Their disagreements forced them to consider multiple approaches simultaneously. Their diversity means, if one solution fails, they have others ready. Perhaps their way is not inefficient. Perhaps it is simply different than what we know. High Counselor Theron nodded slowly. You suggest we have as much to learn from them as they have to learn from us. I suggest we consider what happened with the Crethean probe, Janae replied. Humanity had every right to destroy it as an act of aggression. They had the capability. Instead, they captured it, studied it, and shared the knowledge openly among their own nations. Then, they sent a message of peace while drawing a clear boundary. They showed strength and restraint in the same action. When have we seen such balance? In her ship, Zara watched the council debate through the broadcast. Kaimin stood beside her, monitoring human communications. The humans still did not know the extent of what was happening, only that something had responded to their message. Excitement and fear mixed in their broadcasts in equal measure. Captain, Kaimin said, I have been analyzing human scientific progress. Representative Jin A is correct. In the past 9 days, human cooperation on space technology and xenology has accelerated dramatically. Seeing our satellites and the probe has united their scientific community like nothing in their history. But not just their scientific community, Zara observed. She had been watching too. Look at their communication networks. Artists are creating works inspired by contact. Philosophers are debating humanity's place in a larger universe. Even their arguments have become more focused on the future than the past. Kaimin pulled up a particularly interesting data stream. Captain, look at this. A human scientist named Ji Wu has published a paper theorizing about our technology based on observations of the satellites. Her calculations are remarkably accurate for someone with no prior knowledge of our science. And scientists from 30 different human nations have already built upon her work. Zara examined the paper. This human, Ji Wu, had determined the basic principles of their gravity manipulation system through observation alone. It had taken Zara's own people centuries to develop that technology. This human had understood the fundamentals in days. What is her background? Zara asked. Kaimin checked. She was working on theoretical physics at a research institution. Relatively young for a human scientist, only 32 of their years. Before this, she was studying what they call quantum mechanics. She has adapted those principles to explain what she observed. Choose one. Zara made a decision. Kaimin, send a secure message to High Counselor Theron. Tell him I have a recommendation for Earth's first contact representative. Not me. I am military. We need a scientist. And I believe I have found the human counterpart who would make this historic moment meaningful. The council debate continued for 3 more days. Representatives examined every aspect of humanity: their art, their science, their history, their potential. Some feared that humans would destabilize the careful balance the galaxy had maintained for thousands of years. Others argued that the galaxy had become stagnant and needed the chaos humans brought. Finally, High Counselor Theron called for a vote. The question was simple. Should humanity be offered contact and eventual membership in the Galactic Council? The vote was closer than any in Council history. But when the count finished, the decision was made. Contact would be offered, but not full membership yet. Humans would have probationary status. They would be watched, guided, and slowly integrated if they proved capable. Zara received the official orders. She was designated as First Contact Ambassador. She would land on Earth in 7 days. The location would be neutral ground, not controlled by any single human nation. The humans would be notified in advance and given time to prepare representatives. But there was a condition in her orders that surprised her. The council wanted the humans to choose their own representatives, not governments alone, but a cross-section of their species: scientists, artists, leaders, and ordinary citizens. The council wanted to see who humanity chose to speak for them. Zara composed the message carefully. It would be the first official communication from the Galactic Council to humanity. It needed to be clear, non-threatening, and respectful. People of Earth, the message began in mathematical language, then translated into their major languages. We are the Galactic Council, representing civilized species across this galaxy. We have observed you and found you worthy of contact. We wish to meet in peace. We offer knowledge, friendship, and eventual membership in our community. We ask that you select representatives who speak for your diverse nature. We will land in 7 of your days at coordinates you will determine. We await your response with hope. The message transmitted. Kai Min monitored as it was received by human communication systems around their planet. Then, they waited. The human response came within hours. Not just from governments, but from their people directly. Millions of messages flooded back. Some in mathematics, some in languages, some in music and art. The overwhelming theme was welcome mixed with cautious curiosity. Then the formal response came from a coalition of human nations. They agreed to meet. The location would be a research station in a place they called Antarctica, controlled by international treaty rather than any one nation. Neutral ground, as Zara had hoped, and they listed their representatives: scientists, including Ji-woo, leaders from multiple nations, an artist, a philosopher, a doctor who worked in conflict zones, a teacher, and, at their own insistence, 3 children who had asked to be included. Zara read the list and smiled. They understand what we asked for. They are not sending their most powerful. They are sending their most representative. Quote, Kai Min looked worried. Captain, the council may not approve of children being present at first contact. The council asked to see humanity's true nature, Zara replied. Humanity's true nature includes protecting and involving their young. It is actually perfect. She composed her response, accepting the meeting terms. Across the galaxy, billions prepared to watch history unfold. Bets were placed on how the meeting would go. Scholars prepared analyses. Leaders considered implications. Artists began creating works commemorating the event before it even happened. On Earth, humans prepared too. Ji-woo received the message that she had been selected as a representative and felt the weight of her entire species on her shoulders. She was not alone. Every chosen representative felt the same enormous responsibility. In her laboratory, Ji-woo looked at her calculations about the alien technology one more time. She had been selected because she had reached toward understanding. She hoped that reaching toward each other would be enough. 7 days, until humanity stepped into a larger universe. 7 days, until the galaxy learned if humans could walk among the stars as equals. Zara looked at the planet Earth, spinning below her ship. What you are, she whispered to it, is survivors. Let us see if you can survive this too. The 7th day arrived. 8. 7th day. 8. Captain Zara stood in her private quarters aboard the Time's Eternal Wanderer *, preparing for the most important moment of her career. She wore her formal diplomatic uniform, deep blue with silver markings indicating her rank and role. In a few hours, she would become the first member of the Galactic Council to stand face-to-face with a human being. Kai Min entered, his own uniform adjusted perfectly. He would accompany Zara as her science advisor and translator. Captain, the landing site is ready. Human representatives are gathering. The galaxy is watching. Zara nodded. She had reviewed the files on each human representative chosen to meet them. Ji-woo, the physicist who had shown remarkable insight. Ambassador Chen, a diplomat known for peace negotiations. Dr. Amara, who had spent decades treating the wounded in war zones. Professor Williams, a philosopher who wrote about humanity's place in the universe. Artist Maya, whose work explored connection and understanding. Teacher Park, who educated human children about the cosmos. And 3 children. Sophia, age 9, who had written letters to the stars. Jamal, age 12, who built robots. And Yuki, age 10, who wanted to be an astronaut. "Are we ready?" Sarah asked. "The shuttle is prepared," Kaiman confirmed. "All systems functional. The council broadcast is live. Every civilized world is watching." They walked to the shuttle bay together. Other crew members lined the corridor, standing at attention as their captain passed. They knew the significance of this moment. First contact was never repeated. It happened once, forever marking the relationship between species. The shuttle was small and elegant, designed for peaceful approach. No weapons, no heavy shielding, no intimidating features. Just a simple craft carrying 2 beings who hoped to make friends. As they descended through Earth's atmosphere, Zara saw the planet in detail for the first time. Oceans that sparkled blue, clouds that swirled white, land masses covered in greens and browns, and lights. So many lights from human cities, visible even in daylight. A planet alive, with activity and energy. The landing site came into view. Antarctica's ice stretched in all directions, pristine and beautiful. The research station was a collection of buildings designed for function rather than beauty, but humans had decorated it. Banners hung displaying symbols from many nations. Lights had been arranged in welcoming patterns. And people stood outside, waiting. The shuttle landed gently on the prepared pad. Through the viewports, Zara could see the human representatives standing in a line. Behind them, more humans operated recording equipment. This moment would be preserved forever in both human and galactic history. "They are broadcasting this to their entire planet," Kaiman observed. "Every human with access to communication networks is watching. Just as the galaxy watches us." Zara took a deep breath. Her 3 hearts beat in complex rhythm, a sign of nervousness in her species. "Then let us give them all something good to see." The shuttle door opened. Cold air rushed in, Earth's atmosphere touching Zara for the first time. She stepped out onto the ice, Kai-Min following. The gravity was slightly lighter than she was accustomed to, but manageable. The air was thinner, but breathable. The human representatives stood 30 paces away. Zara walked toward them slowly, each step deliberate and visible. She wanted no sudden movements, nothing that could be interpreted as aggressive. She stopped 10 paces away and observed the humans. They were smaller than she expected, more fragile looking. Their skin tones varied from very dark to very pale, their features diverse. They wore protective clothing against the cold, but she could see their faces clearly. And in those faces, she saw the same nervousness she felt. Jiwoo stepped forward. She was the designated first speaker, chosen by the humans because she had been first to understand the alien technology. She carried a small device that would translate her words. "Welcome to Earth," Jiwoo said in her language. The translation device rendered it in galactic standard and simultaneously broadcast it across human networks in many languages. "We are honored by your visit. We come in peace and hope to learn from you, as we hope you might learn from us." Zara smiled, a gesture she knew humans would understand as it appeared in their own communication. "People of Earth, I am Captain Zara of the Galactic Council. This is Science Officer Kai-Min. We represent thousands of civilized worlds who have watched you with great interest. You are unique among all species we have encountered." "Unique how?" Ambassador Chen asked. He was older, his hair gray, his posture diplomatic. "We have wondered what you think of us." "Oh, Zara considered how to answer honestly without overwhelming them. "Every species that reached the stars before you did so through unity. Either biological unity like hive minds, or cultural unity through evolution or conquest. You have achieved neither. You remain diverse, individual, often in conflict. By every model we have, you should have destroyed yourselves. Yet you thrive. You grow. You reach outward. This is unprecedented. Dr. Amara spoke next, her voice carrying the weight of experience. So we are chaos to you. Dangerous chaos. You are chaos, Kaimin agreed. But we have learned it is not dangerous chaos. It is creative chaos. Your disagreements force multiple solutions. Your conflicts drive innovation. Your diversity means you adapt quickly. What we thought was weakness is actually a form of strength we never developed. Professor Williams adjusted his glasses, a human gesture of thought. You said you have watched us. For how long? 9 days of intense observation, Zara replied. But we have seen enough to recommend you for eventual membership in the Galactic Council. The humans reacted with visible surprise and excitement. Ji Wu translated quickly for those whose devices had failed in the cold. And Zara heard gasps and exclamations in multiple languages. But first, Zara continued, we must understand each other. We offer knowledge, technology, and friendship. We ask for the same in return. We propose a cultural exchange. Some of your people come to our worlds. Some of our people remain here. We learn from each other. What about our conflicts? Ambassador Chen asked carefully. Our wars, our environmental problems, our divisions. Will you intervene? Zara had expected this question. The council had debated it extensively. No. We will offer knowledge and advice. But your species must choose its own path. Imposed unity fails. You must find your own way to cooperation, just as you have been doing. We will not interfere with that process. Artist Maya spoke for the first time, her voice quiet but clear. Are there other species like us out there? Other chaotic ones? No. Kaimin replied. You are the first. That is why the entire galaxy is watching this moment. They want to know if chaos can walk among the stars. They want to know if diversity can survive first contact. You are proof that different paths can lead to the same destination. The 3 children had been silent until now, standing with the adults and watching with wide eyes. Sophia, the youngest, suddenly stepped forward. The adults moved to stop her, but she had already started speaking. Are you going to be our friends? She asked simply. The question, so direct and innocent, carried across the broadcasts to billions of viewers on both sides. Zara knelt down to be at eye level with the small human child. She saw no fear in Sophia's face, only curiosity and hope. Yes, Zara said gently. We would like to be your friends. Would you like to be ours? Sophia smiled and nodded. Then she did something unexpected. She stepped forward and hugged Zara. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The alien captain and the human child, embracing on the ice of Antarctica, while 2 universes watched. Zara felt the small human's warmth, her trust, her hope. She carefully returned the hug, mindful of her greater strength. When Sophia stepped back, she was still smiling. Across the galaxy, the broadcast continued. On Kreth, General Dax felt something unfamiliar in his chest. On Serenity the 7th, the young member who had questioned her elders smiled with tears in her eyes. In council chambers, High Counselor Theron nodded with satisfaction. On millions of worlds, beings watched and thought perhaps the universe had just changed for the better. On Earth, humans celebrated, not with unity, because that was not their way, but with joy expressed in thousands of different ways simultaneously. Some prayed, some danced, some cried, some shouted, some simply stared at the sky in wonder. Ji Wu approached Zara. Captain, I have many questions about your technology, about the galaxy, about everything. And I have questions about you, Zara replied. How you survived. How you innovate. How you hold such contradictions inside you. And remain functional. Kai Min and Ji Woo immediately began an animated discussion about physics and technology, their enthusiasm breaking through formal protocols. They spoke different languages but communicated perfectly through mathematics and shared curiosity. Ambassador Chen stepped forward. Captain Zara, we should discuss the practical matters. How will this exchange work? What do we need to prepare? Captain Zara, walk with me, Zara said. Let us discuss while we begin to know each other. The formal meeting dissolved into smaller conversations. Humans and aliens mixing, asking questions, sharing ideas. The children showed Jamal's robots to Kai Min, who was delighted by their creative if crude engineering. Dr. Amara discussed medical science with a Galactic Council physician who had accompanied the shuttle. Artist Maya sketched Zara's features, while Professor Williams debated philosophy with another council member. Hours passed. The Antarctic sun hung in the sky. This region, in its summer season of constant daylight. The conversations continued, breaking only when someone needed rest or food. Humans offered their food to the aliens cautiously, and were relieved when Zara's species could consume it safely. In return, Zara offered nutrient packs from her ship, which humans found bland, but edible. This is going well, Kai Min observed quietly to Zara during a brief, private moment. Better than anyone predicted. They are easy to talk to, Zara agreed. Despite the differences, despite the strangeness, they make connection feel natural. As the day continued into evening by human reckoning, Ambassador Chen called for formal statements. Both sides would make declarations for their respective peoples. Defining this new relationship, Ambassador Chen spoke first for humanity. Today, humanity takes its first step into a larger universe. We come not as supplicants seeking salvation, nor as conquerors seeking dominance. We come as equals, offering our friendship, our knowledge, and our unique perspective. We are imperfect. We acknowledge our conflicts, our problems, our divisions, but we are learning, growing, and reaching outward. We accept the Galactic Council's offer of cultural exchange and eventual membership. But we ask for patience as we prepare our world for this new reality. We ask for respect for our diversity, and we promise to contribute what we can to the galactic community. Zara stood to respond. The Galactic Council welcomes humanity. You are unlike any species we have known, but we have learned that different does not mean lesser. Your chaos is creative. Your conflicts drive growth. Your diversity is strength. We offer you probationary membership, with full membership possible when both our peoples agree you are ready. We will not force unity upon you. We will not demand you change your nature. We ask only that you continue to reach outward, continue to survive, and continue to be yourselves. The galaxy is better for having found you. We look forward to learning what you will teach us. The statements concluded. Zara prepared to return to her ship. It had been decided that she would return daily for continued meetings while the cultural exchange was organized. But this first day had achieved something more important than any negotiation. It had proven that humans and the galaxy could meet as equals. Before boarding her shuttle, Zara looked at the assembled humans one more time. Ji Woo had tears on her face, though she smiled. The children waved enthusiastically. The adults looked tired but hopeful. Captain, Ji Woo called out. When you first saw us, what did you think? Truly? Zara considered the question. She thought of her first reaction to the impossible data, to the paradoxes and contradictions of human civilization. I thought, Zara said honestly, how are you alive? Everything we knew said you should have destroyed yourselves. Now I know the answer. You survive because you never stop choosing to survive. Each of you, individually, choosing hope over despair, cooperation over isolation, tomorrow over today. That is what makes you extraordinary." She paused, then added, "We call ourselves the Galactic Council. We represent order, stability, and peace achieved through unity. Perhaps we need what you represent: chaos, change, and peace achieved through choice. Welcome to the stars, humanity. Show us what you can do." The shuttle lifted off, carrying Zara and Kai-Min back to their ship. They looked down at Earth. Now, not just a mysterious planet, but a world full of beings they were beginning to know. Across the galaxy, the broadcast ended. Scholars would analyze every moment for years to come. But the conclusion was already clear to most who watched. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through perfection, but through persistence. Not through unity, but through diversity. Not through being like everyone else, but through being uniquely, impossibly, magnificently themselves. In council chambers, High Counselor Theron composed his official report. It would be short because the broadcast had shown everything that mattered. He wrote simply, "First contact successful. Humanity welcomed. The galaxy changed today. We discovered that chaos and order can coexist. We learned that there are many paths to the stars, and we found that sometimes the species that breaks all the rules teaches the most important lessons. Recommendation: full support for human integration. They will challenge us. They will frustrate us. They will make us better." On Earth, Ji-woo stood outside the research station long after the others had gone inside. She looked up at the stars, now knowing with certainty that they were full of life and possibility. Somewhere up there, Zara was looking down at Earth, two beings from two different worlds, having just changed the universe forever with a simple handshake and a child's hug. Humanity had found the stars, and the stars had found humanity. The galaxy would never be the same.